Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am finally back again with another Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit, and this one's for March 2019. So as always, we'll have a reveal, and then of course the 5 cards. With this one is called Let's Celebrate, and it's been 2 years for Scrapping for Less, so I think this is wonderful. As always, these downloads will be available down below, so you get the ingredients, and then you'll also see your sketch sheets down below as well. I will be following these for the first 4 cards, and you'll actually see that at the end after the cards are completed. So let's go through the contents. So what I'm going to go through now are the Double Dip Sundae ingredients. All right, so of course we have our cardstock, and you get 1 sheet of Kraft Night Shift Blue, Gumdrop Green, Banana Split, Hot Fudge, and Red Hot. And then you also, now there's an awkward pause here because that's what I do, but you also get 2 pieces of the Nina Solar Crest 110 pound. So this is the cardstock that you will get. So some really great bold colors. So let's look at collection 1. Now collection 1 is called Ice Cream Celebrations, and let's look at our cardstock. So again, Ice Cream Celebrations paper by Scrapping for Less. It is double-sided, and I like the different images. What I also like about this paper pack is you kind of have 2 different color themes going on there, so I thought that was really cool. Again, the paper is 6x6. You get a section of peel-off sticker lines by Happy Color, and they could either be gold, silver, or black, so it all depends on what you'll get in your kit. Mine happen to be black. Some craft tags by Desiree. You get your sequin mix by Scrapping for Less, and then a stamp set by Scrapping for Less as well. So it's a cute little sundae with some great sentiments. As always, with each of your collections as well, because remember, in your Double Dip Sundae ingredients, you get 4 collections. In each collection, you will get an envelope. For collection 2, it's called Happy Birthday. So, of course, the paper is called Happy Birthday, and that is also by Scrapping for Less. So some great bold red, blues, yellows, and a little bit of what I'll call and what I'll refer to as teal. I think it's a light teal. You also are going to get some gold foil paper by Cartabella. You're also going to get your sequin mix by Scrapping for Less. You're going to have some ephemera, which is also by Scrapping for Less. I like the fact that they're coming in with their own items here. And your sequin packs, like I said before. Your stamp set is Floating By, and this is by Sunny Studios. So a great set of balloons. How can we not have balloons? I love balloons. I always put them on my cards. So for collection 3, now this one, again, it's all about celebrations. So this one is focusing on baby. So you can see your papers are, excuse me, Sweet Baby Paper by Your Next Stamp. It is double-sided, and it's both for baby boys and baby girls. A sequin mix by Scrapping for Less. Some boy and girl stickers by American Crafts. Some boy and girl journal cards by American Crafts, and your stamp set called Baby Stamp by Your Next Stamp. So that is collection 3. Collection 4, of course, this is wonderful to celebrate, and that's called Friendship. So the papers are Everyday Musings paper by Pink Fresh Studios. These are single-sided and a great mixture. You have some coffee mugs, some wood grains, just different types of images. You will have some journaling cards by Pink Fresh Studios. Mine just happens to be one of them a vellum or a see-through acetate. Some sticker phrases by Pink Fresh Studios, a sequin mix by Scrapping for Less, and your stamp set is called Snapshot Friends by Stamping Bella. So everything here on the screen is the Double Dip Sunday. So if you are subscribed to that, you get the cardstock and the 4 collections. So again, double dip, and just note that all items are subject to change without notice. So there might be some items that are a little bit different. Your stickers might be different. Your color cardstock might be different. If you're into the banana split, this is the items, or these are the items that you will get there. So you're going to get a full-size Morning Dew Nouveau Drop by Tonic. You're going to get some borders by Find It Trading, so they're laser cut. A Hooray die by Scrapping for Less. They're getting into dies now. This is exciting. A Sentiment stamp set by Scrapping for Less as well. So again, if you're in the banana split, you will get all of the items that are shown here. So everything in the Double Dip Sunday with the cardstock, along with the banana split items. So let's go into our cards. So of course I forgot to show the sketch that I am using, but I did put it down on the screen. So we are looking, excuse me, at sketch 2, and this is collection 1. So I did take care, excuse me, of all of the coloring off camera, and also the cutting, the fussy cutting if I did any of that. So I have my panel here, and this is cut to be 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just using the cardstock from the collection 1 and just cutting them down. So I have my ice cream cones on one side. I'm going to use a strip of double-sided foam tape, and I'm going to use the sprinkle cardstock to set that on top of that. So I just wanted that raised just a little bit. I am going to trim my cardstock as it goes off of the panel using my scissors. So I just have a little bit of dimension. I'm using the brown cardstock that came in the kit, and I cut a panel down, and that is cut to be a scant 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So that's what I mean whenever I say scant. That's my image. I did use my alcohol markers to color this, and I'm going to set that down on another mat using the brown cardstock, and I'm going to tuck that right up under the overhang of that piece that I have with dimension. So even though it's framed on a mat, I'm going to hide the one side. So I want that to go into that area. The liquid glue that I'm using is my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I'm just going to set that in place. The sentiment I chose is All You Need is Ice Cream, and I'm going to just stretch that along the bottom from edge to edge. So I will use some double-sided foam squares and my liquid adhesive to set that in place. I pulled out my foam board, and I wasn't quite sure how many tags I was going to use. I decided with 1, and I'm going to use my craft pick, and I'm just going to pierce a hole because I'm going to use a brad from my stash to hold that tag in place, and it's a brad with a star on it. So once I know that's in place, I'm then just going to fold down the 2 back pieces. Now, I cut that short because I broke a nail right then and there. Yeah, I was having a good day. So once I know that's set, I'm going to glue my panel down on my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding. And that tag does swing very freely. I'm going to use some of the sequins from the sequin pack, and I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive to secure them down. And then within this pack, there's some confetti pieces, and I'm going to use them on the tag specifically. So I just used 2 of the colors of the sequins, but I'm going to use those confetti pieces, the large and the small, for the tag. And I'm just going to set those in place. I used my wax pencil to pick up my sequins so that I can put them onto the glue. And that's our first card. So for our second card, we're going to use sketch number 1. And this, I just fell in love with the ephemera. So I pulled out some fun foam because I wanted the 4 panels that I'm going to have propped up using fun foam. Now the fun foam that I'm using just happens to have adhesive on one side, which is very strong. I must say, very, very strong. Sticks everywhere. So I'm going to do that to each of my panels, and I've cut these specifically. And again, they're cut in different, either a square or a rectangle, but they are different in sizes. And what I did was I used the red cardstock from the kit, and I had them using that as my base, and that's cut to be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this will cover the entire front of my standard A2 size card. So each of the panels are even that I cut. If they're on the bottom, they're the same height, and if they're on the top, they're at the same height as well. And then, of course, when you go side to side, you've got the same width. So narrow, wider, like you can see there. I took another piece of the cardstock, the dark blue, and I used that as my mats. I'm then going to adhere my 4 panels down using my liquid adhesive. So I really like liquid adhesive because you have some time to maneuver it. It's not an immediate stick. It doesn't adhere immediately. So I do have that time to wiggle to make sure that the panels that are next to each other are even and that they're set in place. So that is one of my favorite things. So I always do tend, very rarely, especially lately, I haven't really grabbed for a tape runner, which is amazing. I am also going to use some fun foam to prop up this square, which is where my focal point will sit. So I did choose the cake on the pedestal, and I chose from the ephemera the sentiment, Make-A-Wish. And I'm just using a long rectangle cut from the blue cardstock, the same mat as I used for that centerpiece where the cake is going to sit. And I'm going to straddle the sentiment across that. So just to look at where that cake is going to sit, I was looking at having that on an angle as well. But the cake will actually sit in the center on that square, just under the sentiment. And then I'm just going to pull off the release paper so that I can set that in place. And again, I'm using the double-sided foam squares because that piece is propped and this is going to straddle across that, so I wanted to make sure it was even. I'm going to glue the cake directly onto that square, but I do want it to hang off. So I'm going to make sure that the candles come up off of that matted frame. I'm going to have my standard A2 size card base. I do cut my papers down 4 1/4 by 11, and then I just score it at 5 1/2. I'm going to adhere this down using my liquid adhesive. And again, it is going to cover the entire front. So when you open it, at least you have your white card base. I do usually always use a white card base. I figure we got so many colors going on the front. I can always cover it with colored cardstock. And then plus I don't have to worry about putting mats on the inside. I did use my aqua shimmer pen across the Make-A-Wish just to give it a little bit of shimmer and shine. For our third card, I'm using sketch number 4. And I'm just going to play with my cardstock. Now, when it came to this card, you can see those journal cards. Now, everything's based for a boy or a girl. So what I'm doing with this card is I have the one side pink, or the, more of a pink toned paper. And then on the other side, I have more of a boy toned paper, blue. Now, I am in the world that, okay, if you're having a girl, doesn't mean that you can't have a blue card, by all means. I mean, I like blue. I think, blue's one of my favorite colors. So to me, that's not a problem when it comes to that. Sorry for those clicks there. Lost my screen. But I wanted it segregated to show both. I'm going to use the peel off strips, and I'm going to cover up where these two cardstocks cross over a little bit. I am going to overlap these just a little bit to make sure that I can go down the entire length of my card. This panel was cut to be 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to trim off the edges. Again, I did color my images off camera, and I have them on my squares, and I wanted them to be in diamond shape. So in this stamp set, I have some teddy bears and I have a bunny. So I did 2 teddy bears and a bunny. The bears are on the smaller triangles, or diamonds, let's say that, not triangles. I know my shapes. Trust me, I do. And then the bunny's on a little bit larger. So this is how they're going to sit on my panel. And I'm going to prop them up using some double-sided foam squares. I am going to let them hang off the panel just a little bit, but they still will sit within my card base. So now, even though I'm putting the teddy bears on the blue side and the bunny straddling the pink, I'm still going for, what could this be? Is this for a boy or is this for a girl? So I'm actually kind of creating one of those announcement type cards, baby announcements, or not baby announcements, or gender reveal cards. I also stamped out, they had the BABY stamps in there. So I stamped those out, and I used my colored pencils, and that was the medium that I used to color my images, or my colored pencils. And after I fussy cut them out, I'm going around the edges with my black Memento pen just to cover up any of the white spots, and it helps to give it a finished look. And now I'm going to set and spell out the word baby going right down that line. I just want that to be kind of my sentiment and be part of my focal point. So I'm just going to set those in place. I'm going to set the B, the first B first, and then the Y, and then I'll fill in with the A and B in the center so that they can be somewhat centered, not centered, but equally spaced. That was the phrase I was looking for. So some of them are going to be on the panels that are already raised, so I want to make sure that there's a double-sided foam square behind that while it's sitting on there. And then for others, they're just going, or they're being straddled between the two to make sure now I have the double foam square, pulling that up, resting it, to add for that dimension. So it's almost like a ladder that we're creating. I'm going to adhere this to my standard A2 size card base. And what you can do with the journal cards is you could take, like if you know that you're announcing that you're having a baby girl, you could put the baby girl journal card inside of your card, and put a little note that we're having a baby girl, if you wanted to do that. So it's kind of like one of those, as I said, gender reveal cards. That's what was in my head. Of course, I'm going to take some of the sequins from the sequin pack and place those around my card just to give it some shimmer. And that is that card. And then here, that's where I'm showing those journal cards. So you could use the blue one if you were having a boy. A different type of reveal. So for collection number 4, I'm using sketch number 3. I fell in love with that pattern paper the moment I saw it. I pulled out the green cardstock from the card kit, and that's called Gumdrop Green. And I'm using some of the journal cards, and I've trimmed them down because I want the green to matte. But I also, with some of the journal cards, they had some sentiments on it. So the one says close to perfect. This one here says small things, great love. And then I really wanted to use this acetate piece. So I'm just putting the glue behind the leaves so that I can adhere this onto my card design. Now, there may be areas that don't have glue, but that's okay because this is actually going to sit in the middle, so they'll be trapped in case it should shift. But I think it's really cool that if you put this on cardstock, you're going to change the look of that. Now, you could have also put it on pattern paper as well, so you didn't have to use a solid piece like I did here. So now I'm just positioning my panels to where I want them to sit, but I do want the two sentiments to be shown. So when you read it, you'll say, small things, great love, close to perfect. So it's kind of a continuation. So the first two I'm going to adhere directly down onto my card, and then the last one will be propped up using some fun foam. And you can see I was thinking, okay, what do I want to use? Because my fingers were twiddling. I was going to use some double-sided foam tape. I decided against that. So I'm using the fun foam. I was all over the place on this one. I'm going to trim it down, and I'm just going to use my liquid adhesive to adhere that into place. For those of you that have seen my previous videos, I still cannot find my 2-inch film tape that I love so much for my fun foam. I'm very upset. It's amazing. I always lose things. I lose things a lot. But the glue and the fun foam do very well together. I'm going to adhere this panel onto my standard A2 size card base, and it will cover the entire front. So it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice here. My goodness. Need something to drink. Okay. So that is from collection 4. So now working with the banana split items that you'll get in your kit. So you have a sentiment pack, and I wanted to use the sentiment, let's have a celebration. So I'm going to stamp that just onto a piece of scrap paper. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm going to stamp this on one of the journal cards that I had left from one of the prior collections, because I really liked the pink stripe on the one side, because I'm going to turn this into a fishtailed banner. So I thought it would be great just to put the sentiment close to the pink side, and then I could trim it down to whatever size that I wanted. So I'm going to use my stamp positioner. I stamped that a couple times. I cannot use a trimmer to get a straight line. It's just me. I have one with a wire, and I usually can do it. I was just having a tough day, so I used one of my dies. Yes. So now I have that banner. So I went to town with the Hooray die. I wanted to use it. I wanted to play with it. And I chose all kinds of the different cardstock, the pattern papers that we have. So some have a pattern, some are solid. And I just cut 5 of those out. And now I'm just going to place them somewhat in a rainbow order a little bit. But I just want to position them across the 4 by 5 1/4 panel that I have here. Or it will be 4 by 5 1/4. Once I have these set and glued into place, I will trim this panel down using a stitched rectangle die from my stash. I just wanted to have these go along the card panel. So, hooray. There's a lot of hoorays. And this card's great for any type of celebration. Again, it doesn't have to be for a birthday. It could be for a new job. It could be for a new baby. It could be for a new home. It could be, let's just get together and have some fun. So whatever it is you would want to do, this card would be perfect. Sometimes we don't have to use a specific sentiment to have a celebration. Just by saying that, sometimes that's enough. So here I'm making the fishtail. I just cut down the center and then come in from each corner to that point where I cut in. I wanted to make sure that that was propped up. And for that, I did use some double-sided foam tape. And I did use my stitch rectangle die. I also took one of the pattern papers and did a scant 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 just to give it a little bit of a background instead of the white on white. I mean, there's a lot of dots there, but they do have that color coming through, and those colors that I use for the hooray do match that paper that I chose back there. I'm going to set my sentiment in place. And then I'm going to adhere this on my standard A2 size card base. And then once in place, I mean, you have all kinds. You can add some sequins. You could use your shimmer pens and go over the hoorays just to give them some sparkle. Here I'm going to use the Morning Dew Nouveau drops. And I'm going to cover the pink strip that's down the one side, just to give it a little bit of texture and give it some raise, a raised edge, and then it'll give it some shine. So these are the cards that we made today using the Scrapping for Less March 2019 Flavor of the Month card kit. Remember, the theme for this card kit is Let's Celebrate. It has been 2 years for them. As always, the sketch sheet and the ingredient sheet will be available down below, where the link where you'll be able to download those and use for your projects. Here I'm showing you the sketch that I used for each of the cards. You can see how I was inspired by them, and just how I changed them just a little bit. Also below will be the link so that you can get your kit before they go, a link to their blog, and a link to their website. They do have a shop, so enjoy. There's always something to find. If you have any questions, please leave those down below, and I will make sure that I get back to you as soon as I can. So I do hope that you enjoyed the cards that we made today. These kits are always fun. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me watching this video. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and tune in for my next video. Here are a few other videos using Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month kits that you can enjoy. I hope everyone's having a great day. Make sure you take care, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative.